On New Year's Day, two separate attacks were carried out by two different people, one in New Orleans, one in Las Vegas, both using rented electric trucks. Are these attacks linked? Are they not linked? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the New Year's Day attacks, one in New Orleans, one in Las Vegas. And before I go any further into the names of the suspects and possible motives and the way that these attacks were carried out, before I get into that, I got to say there were at least 15 deceased in New Orleans and over 30 injured. So may they rest in peace, and prayers out to their families. Any of you guys who are still injured in the hospital, hey, I wish you a speedy recovery. No one deserves to just be out there minding their business on Bourbon Street and have an F-150 plow through them for no reason at all. Okay, nobody deserves that. Now, before we go too far into it, just a couple things about what happened. Now, in New Orleans, a guy had an F-150 Lightning that was rented from an app called Turo. That matters in a minute. He rammed his vehicle through people right there on Bourbon Street with an ISIS flag on the back of his pickup. And again, it was a rented vehicle from the app called Turo. Now, in Vegas, a guy was in a Tesla truck and he put a bunch of things in the back, gas canisters, fireworks. I guess the objective was to have the vehicle completely blow up and for the lithium ion battery to become a bomb, but I don't think that was the case. I think all the stuff in the back blew up, but the vehicle itself was still intact. All right. Now, the guy was inside of the vehicle when it happened, so I presume he's dead. I've not seen the body. You probably don't want to see the body the way it is right now. Now, Joe Biden spoke about what's happening. He did come out. I was kind of surprised. I'm like, okay, they rolled Joe out of the bed. Okay, let's hear from Joe. Then we're going to get into articles, videos, everything else about what's happening here, the suspects' names, and their possible connection. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it. And of course, everything I'm talking about will be in the box. If you want to see it and hear it without my commentary, if you're on IG, visit the link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, now let's go ahead and roll it.
Additionally, we're tracking the explosion of a cyber truck outside the Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. Law enforcement and the intelligence community are investigating this as well, including whether there's any possible connection with the attack in New Orleans. Thus far, there's nothing to report on that score at this time. I directed my team to make sure every resource is made available to federal, state, and local law enforcement to complete the investigation in New Orleans quickly and to make sure there is no remaining threat to the American people.
All right, so that's him. That's all we got so far. Maybe there may be more by the time you see this video, but that's all I have so far. Now, let's look at the actual explosion of the Cybertruck, okay? There's no sound here because there's no sound of the actual explosion in this video, but check it out. You can see there's the Trump Hotel, no casino in Las Vegas. The truck's right in front. Now, you're going to see in a minute just somebody sitting right there. Thankfully, hopefully they move out of the way at a certain point. All right. So you can see the person was able to run. And now, if you notice, the actual integrity of the vehicle is still there. And you can also notice when it explodes, you see like fireworks and that kind of thing, because that's what was in the back. Gas canisters, fireworks, anything that would explode was back there. Okay, now this is the remainder of the vehicle. You can see it's still pretty much intact. The wheels are there. The actual frame, the aluminum, I guess, on the side, all of that's pretty much intact. You can see all this garbage in the back. That's where gas canisters and fireworks and everything else was. And the doors of the Trump Tower here are still fine. They're not broken. I don't even see any kind of damage at all. And this is glass. So for your vehicle to be packed with explosives in the back and a lithium ion battery to be right there, it wasn't actually that much damage. And I don't think the battery was compromised. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. And you can see again, the doors of the Trump Hotel completely 100% intact, but the vehicle exploded within itself, and the explosion pretty much went up rather than outward because of the way the body is constructed with the aluminum. All righty. Now, let's take this out.
On that stunning Cybertruck explosion that happened outside Trump International Hotel on the Vegas Strip.
So look, you can see That's from inside of the actual hotel, and you can see how the doors are totally fine as the explosives and whatnot in the back of the truck bed burn.
New Year's Day. 3 senior law enforcement officials briefed on the case, telling NBC News it's being investigated as a potential act of terrorism. And with questions arising over possible ties to the attack in New Orleans.
We're absolutely investigating any connectivity to what happened in New Orleans, as well as other attacks that have been occurring around the world. We're not ruling anything out yet.
NBC News learning investigators are looking into a possible military connection between the New Orleans suspect and the person inside the Tesla, according to 2 law enforcement sources. Authorities also confirming the vehicles involved in both incidents were rented from the car-sharing company Turo.
Now, this is a thing they've been talking about a lot, and I was watching this live on my stream last night. Shout out to you guys who were there. And I'm like, why did they keep mentioning Turo? Why is that a thing? Because there have been rented vehicles used in crimes before. But I think there's too many connections here to ignore this. I don't think that Turo specifically matters. I think that they could have planned to do this, and they said, hey, let's use Turo. That might have just been what they said as far as their planning, if there was any kind of coordination, because I think these guys didn't know each other. The guy in Vegas and the guy in New Orleans.
The company saying in a statement they're heartbroken by the violence and are actively partnering with law enforcement authorities as they investigate both incidents. Yesterday, authorities also revealing.
So you see all the stuff back there, gas canisters, fireworks, all that. That's what the explosion was. But the actual integrity of the vehicles pretty much intact. All right, now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Did these guys know each other? Okay, so the person on the left, that is Matthew Livelsberger, and the guy on the right is Samsudeen Jabbar. Now, Samsudeen Jabbar is a suspect behind the New Orleans attack. All right, and you see the headline here. Did Cybertruck bomber Matthew Livelsberger and New Orleans attacker Samsudeen Jabbar plan their attacks together? Now, Matthew Livelsberger is 37, Samsudeen Jabbar is 42. They served at Fort Bragg at the same time. They went to Afghanistan at the same time. Jabbar enlisted in 2007, Livelsberger 2006. If these guys served at the same time at the same base and were deployed to Afghanistan at the same time, I think they knew each other. And here is a video of Samsudeen Jabbar barreling down the street. Let me turn the sound down just because. But you can see now nobody will be hurt in this clip. Just to let you know, as he goes further up the street, that's when the hurt happens. All right, so you can see him just barely missing people right here with the F-150, and you can see the flagpole right there in the back. And this is an F-150 Lightning, if I didn't mention that. So you have a Tesla Cybertruck electric truck, an F-150 Lightning, an electric truck, rented by guys who probably knew each other, using the same app, probably because they were communicating with each other about how to do it, when to do it, and whatnot. All right. Maybe he wanted a Cybertruck but couldn't find one and decided to use the F-150 Lightning instead. All right, let's learn a little bit more about Samsudeen Jabbar here.
As victims' families begin the mourning process as they are forced to now bury their loved ones to start the new year, we're getting a clearer picture of who this killer was. An American, a veteran, but someone with financial troubles apparently drawn to the terror group ISIS. Tonight, new video from New Orleans showing a crowded Bourbon Street full of New Year's revelers dancing in the road just as an apparent ISIS-inspired terrorist drove a pickup truck.
Now, I just want to say one thing. There was supposed to be, or there are steel bollards that can come up from the ground that you put up to stop this kind of traffic from coming through. If you know people are going to be partying, they're going to be drinking, it's New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, you want to put those bollards up so the trucks can't come through. It was witness who said that they had these plastic little barriers that are not going to stop anything. It's more of just a pedestrian suggestion rather than an actual barrier for trucks.
Through the crowd, killing 15 people and injuring dozens more. Less than 24 hours later, we're beginning to piece together who the killer was. 42-year-old Samsudeen Jabbar was a U.S.-born citizen from Texas and an Army veteran. Court records show he was divorced 3 times, forced to pay child support to 2 of those women, and hard up for money, couldn't afford his mortgage.
Now, let's talk about something else, though. Samsudeen Jabbar. You heard my man say born and raised Texas. Okay, cool. U.S. citizen. But where are his parents from? We're talking about, look at his name. Is that his new name that he gave himself? Or is that the name that he now identifies with because of his ancestry? I'm thinking you might be some kind of East African, some kind of Somali, growing up in the West, immigrant parents. You're easily a target of radicalization because you already got some of the Islamic background from your parents, from your family back in Sudan or wherever you came from. That could be what's happening here. You got radicalized and then committed a terror attack, which we've seen before in this country.
Sometime in the last few years, it appears he was drawn to the terror group ISIS.
That mere hours before the attack, he posted videos on social media indicating that he was inspired by ISIS, expressing a desire to kill.
Authorities say Din Jabbar was speeding down Bourbon Street wearing body armor and firing an AR-style rifle out of the truck, mowing people down for about 3 blocks before crashing, stepping out and opening fire again, wounding 2 police officers. Authorities returning fire, shooting and killing him. This image showing Din Jabbar's body laying next to the truck. Inside that Ford F-150, authorities say they found multiple homemade pipe bombs packed with nails. Sources telling ABC News on that flagpole wrapped in a gray jacket was an ISIS flag. The carnage he left behind left witnesses scarred for life.
The screams, I mean, you can't think about, unhear that.
What we saw was insanity. I mean, something out of a movie. The graphic nature of it.
And tonight we begin to learn more about the victims.
Now, there's more here. They get into the victims. I don't want to discount their stories, but you can learn more about who was affected. I'll link to everything in the box. Now, just for time's sake, I want to get to one last piece. Now, it's just a coincidence, I suppose, but the New Orleans police chief used to be in Spokane, Washington, and also Oakland as their police chief. I suppose she got fired from Oakland, from what I'm reading. Now she's in New Orleans. And last year, 2024, in August, she hit 2 pedestrians with her vehicle. And it was no big deal. Oops, sorry. Let's watch this.
Hearing now from NOPD Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick for the first time about a weekend crash where she hit 2 people.
Well, Kirkpatrick was returning home at the time after visiting an injured officer at the hospital when she hit a man and a woman at the intersection of Decatur and Iberville Streets Saturday night. She said she made a terrible mistake and she's already reached out to the victims.
I did call the 2 young people yesterday and left a message. I asked if I could come and bring them flowers and personally apologize again, although I did on the scene. And we haven't made that connection, and they may not be comfortable.
And Kirkpatrick took a breathalyzer test and urine analysis. The breathalyzer returned a blood alcohol concentration of 0.00%.
So 0.0 on the urine test. You believe that? Hey, Chief, take a urine test and it'll come back 100% honest, I promise. Okay, maybe she wasn't drinking, I don't know, but you hit 2 pedestrians right there on the street back in August 24, and now this happens, and you had the plastic barriers. I don't know. It's just too many things here just kind of strange. You got the Airbnb Turo connection. You got this police chief who probably shouldn't really be there. Why was that area not blocked off? Look, as I close, I want to say this again. Rest in peace to all those who died, and prayers out to the family. What I want to know is, why wasn't the security around this area better? You got the steel bollards in the ground. Why not just use them? Why not use vehicles? Like down here where I live, when they do the Iron Man or a car show or anything like that, if they want to block downtown off because they got a lot of foot traffic, what they're going to do, they're going to put bollards up. They're going to put the Jersey wall concrete barriers. They're going to put fire trucks with the lights on and the ladder raised up, all of that. So you can't just drive your vehicle through there. If you're able to get through all of that, then you must be driving like some kind of Soviet World War II tank. I don't know. You can't just get your F-150 Lightning or your Cybertruck into actual security that's in place. So I don't know what's going on with this whole situation. You shouldn't be able to drive down there at all in these narrow streets with everybody outside partying. But hey, they were able to, and this is the result. And I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about what happened here in New Orleans and also in Las Vegas? I think that they're linked. I think the guys probably knew each other, both got radicalized, and they decided to do this. One guy does what he does in New Orleans, trying to actually hurt people. And then I think maybe the objective was to hurt people in Vegas as well. But because of the way the Cybertruck is built, the explosion was not as bad. Because if his objective of having the lithium ion explode and become a bomb, and for the sides to not withstand the explosion, I'm talking about the lobby would have been decimated. It would have been a lot further out from the side. So, hey, like a lot of you guys are saying, it's a crazy ad for Tesla and a Cybertruck to have that happen. Unfortunately, you had to have a terror attack take place to see it. But whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. I think that you got people that are radicalized and they did this. And in part, I blame mainstream media, because part of the whole thing with Tesla and the Trump hotel in Vegas is symbolism. I hate Elon Musk. I hate Donald Trump. So I'll take a Cybertruck, blow it up right in front of Trump Towers. That appears to be what's happening. And you know what you see on the mainstream media all the time, every day. Orange man bad. I hate Trump. Trump, 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 Trump. You see that all day long. So for this kind of thing to unfold is not really that far beyond my imagination. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.